Everybody, welcome to the final round, the boxing podcast. Shout out to Family Talk. Let's discuss it. Let's get it. Of course, you got your boy Chef Jimbo here. Shout out to my boy Mr. Telly, who loves you, baby. Just came on here to do a real quick video. Listen, check this out. I just saw really good two really good interviews with our unified champion, heavyweight champion of the world, and Anthony Joshua. He holds the IBF, WBA, and the WBO championship. But before we get into that, I labeled this the road to Undisputed for a reason. And I'm going to give everybody a really quick review summary of what's been going on. Now, before, and our current WBC champion, Tyson Fury. Before Tyson Fury ever came into the picture, we have had, I'm over here messing up because I got so much I want to get out about all of this. Just seeing his interview really ticks me off because, you know, we need to call Anthony Joshua out on his jive. He been shucking and jiving Deontay Wilder for quite some years. Deontay Wilder was WBC champion of the world for, I want to say, about 5-6 years. And he beat Muhammad Ali's defenses. I want to say it was 10 or 11. Don't quote me on that. But now he has the most title defenses of the WBC title. Deontay Wilder names stands in the WBC record books right above the great Muhammad Ali. Deontay Wilder was the WBC champion of the world. Anthony Joshua, for quite a long time, was the champion of still has had then and still has it today, the 3 championships of the IBF, WBA, and the WBO. Deontay Wilder has been chasing Anthony Joshua for 5+ years, even to this day. A lot of stuff transpired. This fight could not take place. You hear different things from Joshua's camp, different things from Wilder's camp. You also hear different things from Joshua's manager, Eddie Hearn. I'm not even going to get into him right now. We're just going to leave that the way that it is. But he's been trying to get the Undisputed title fight with Anthony Joshua for 5+ years. And nothing has ever happened. There's never been any successful talks. But it's funny. Deontay Wilder, he's chasing, he's trying to find great competition to fight. And then he runs into, let's just fast forward to Luis King Kong Ortiz, which back in that time was also known one of the boogeymans of the heavyweight division. This guy, Luis King Kong Ortiz, he purposely signed with the same promotional company that Anthony Joshua was in because he wanted to fight Anthony Joshua. But Anthony Joshua would not give him a title fight at all under any circumstance. But at the same time, Deontay Wilder saw the opportunity. He saw someone that was willing to fight him. He went and saved Luis King Kong Ortiz from that contract, brought him over, fought him twice. And one of those times, Luis King Kong Ortiz popped dirty. And Deontay Wilder pushed the fight back just a little bit, and he still fought him to get the drugs so that the drugs were out of King Kong's body. He still fought him, beat him twice. He's a Cuban fighter, and if you know Luis King Kong Ortiz, he's an amazing boxer. You can't take anything away from him. Deontay Wilder defeated him twice, and that's someone who Anthony Joshua failed to fight. He failed to fight this guy, and he wanted it. King Kong wanted Joshua. Wilder wanted Joshua. Then Wilder goes and pulls Tyson Fury out of the grave, literally. And then he fights him twice. We know the first fight was a draw. The second fight, Tyson Fury got a TKO decision. Someone from Wilder's camp, one of his coaches, threw in a towel, which we won't get into that today neither. But how funny this is that we have someone in Tyson Fury who's now holds the same belt that Deontay Wilder held, and he was trying to fight Joshua. Now Joshua is having very, very successful talks with Tyson Fury, the current WBC champion of the world. In this interview that I saw, and I give my sources of Sky Sports Boxing, he said that him and Tyson Fury during the pandemic, they had a contract, and the contract was pretty much done. All they had to do was sign the paper. He said, in his words specifically, all we had to do was cross the line. Then they found out Deontay Wilder, he activated his rematch clause. Tyson Fury tried to run. He was shucking and jiving too, because he know how dangerous. I don't care how many of these guys say that Deontay Wilder can't fight or he's an amateur, this, that, and the third. They all know how dangerous this brother is. Anthony Joshua finds out that Tyson Fury has to fight his mandatory. He has to fight. He's bound by a contract to fight Deontay Wilder. And Anthony Joshua said he was really pissed off. He was really pissed off. He said that Tyson Fury was dishonest with him and his team, which is understandable. So kudos to Joshua. He was, from what I saw, he was trying to do the right thing. So nothing but respect to Joshua for that. But it seemed so easy. It just took a couple months for you to get the contract with Tyson Fury. But it took years for you not even to have any contract with the champion then, Deontay Wilder. But in this interview, multiple interviews, we have Anthony Joshua, who continues to go on and say that Deontay Wilder was an amateur, which is crazy. The guy won a bronze medal at the Olympics. Amateurs don't win bronze medals at the Olympics. But I tell you also one thing. People are really upset with Deontay Wilder because he started boxing at the age of, 22, 23? All-state football, basketball player, career-ending injury, had to give it all up, came to boxing. He has a beautiful story with him and his daughter. I advise everybody to go and check it out and look it up. But in his interview, he said that Deontay Wilder is an amateur. He also says that the Fury fight, with and without the belt, is bigger than boxing. The interviewer asks Joshua, he says, hey, after you're done, he has a fight coming up September the 25th with Alexander Usyk, which is his mandatory, who's been sitting. He's a former cruiserweight champion. He's a really dangerous guy, and this is going to be an amazing fight. I really can't wait to see it. Really can't wait to see it. But he said that the interviewer asked him, will you fight Deontay Wilder and will you fight Fury? He said, yes, both of those guys are my enemies. He said, I want both of them. But then he said, the next question was, but when will you fight Fury? He said, I can see myself fighting Fury after I take care of my mandatory, which is Alexander Usyk, which they will be fighting September the 25th, which would be an amazing fight at the iconic stadium in London. But forgive me if I say this wrong. Tottenham Stadium in London. What I believe is where the Spurs play. Soccer team, the real football for anybody out there. But he said, I see myself fighting Tyson Fury in 2022, guaranteed, with or without the belts. Because he said that fight is so huge, it's so big, and it's so important. Now, if you go back to Anthony Joshua's previous fight, I believe it was Usyk. No, No, it wasn't Usyk. I forget the guy's name, but his previous fight, he specifically said this one thing. He said he wants to be undisputed champion of the world. He said he doesn't care who has the belts. He say, I want all of the belts, and I want the guy that has the other belt. At that time, Fury had the other belt. At that time, there was no sight of Deontay Wilder because he was quiet. He activated his rematch clause, but Deontay Wilder didn't have the belt. So now all of a sudden, you want the guy that wants that belt in Tyson Fury. But when Deontay Wilder had the belt, you didn't want that belt. You ran and made excuses. Go figure. But he, in these interviews, he also came out and said that Tyson Fury's team let the boxing world down by not being upfront and not being honest, which we all can agree with that. But listen, guys, that's the quickest summary that I could give you. This story goes so much deeper. We could go deeper into this story when I get Telly on here, Telly Mister Who Loves Your Baby, and Brandon and anybody else that would love to join the conversation with us. Please, we can get into it deeper a little later. We would gladly make another episode about this, but that's just a quick summary of everything that's been going on in this heavyweight boxing carousel, in this triangle of three of the top heavyweights of the world right now at this moment. And Deontay Wilder, Anthony Joshua, and the champion also, Tyson Fury. September the 25th. Anthony Joshua versus Alexander Usyk. As you can see, it's going to be an amazing fight. No matter what you think about these guys, an amazing fight between these two champions. A cruiserweight who's moved up to heavyweight, and he's worked his way up. And guess what, guys? Look, Usyk is no joke. Go and check out some YouTube videos on him. Go look at his fight. Usyk is no joke at all under any circumstance. This is going to be a very serious fight, very real. And Joshua has to take him serious. And Joshua said in interviews that I have to take this guy serious. A lot of people think that Joshua is going to lose. A lot of people think that Joshua is going to lose. And rightfully so. This guy is very dangerous. And it's going to be a great fight. I can't wait for September the 25th. It's going to be amazing. And we're going to see. And also, let's not forget the fight got pushed back from July the 24th to October the 8th. Tyson Fury, Deontay Wilder. Number 3, the final fight. The final fight. Who's going to be victorious in this? The first fight, there are a lot of questions between these two guys. There are a lot of questions between the Tyson Fury and Deontay Wilder fight. There's a lot of questions with Tyson's gloves then in the first fight. There's a lot of questions with the judge, and the judge openly, I personally saw an interview where the judge, Jack Reese, said that he gave Tyson Fury a longer count because he wanted to give the champion a chance. Because he's the lineal champion, whatever that means. That belt makes no sense. The lineal champion. I really would love to know who made that up. But as a judge, you shouldn't give anybody a chance. A 10 count is a 10 count. A 10 count is a 10 count. Point blank. Fight number 2, Deontay Wilder, Tyson Fury. A very questionable questions all over the fight. Questions all over the fight. As I watched that fight, when that took place in February, I believe that was February 2019. Or was it 2019? I want to say 2019. As I watched that fight with my friends and my family, and I tell people, Deontay didn't look right. He looked weird. I saw so many fights of Deontay Wilder. Not all of them, but I would say probably 80% of his fights. And he didn't look like him. Something looked wrong, something looked off, and I've heard that from multiple boxing people that know him as well. The great, legendary Vander Holyfield gave an amazing interview talking about this fight and how Deontay Wilder looked as well. There were also questions with Tyson Fury's gloves yet again, but that's a whole history thing with Tyson Fury. You could go back. He had a couple fights where there were questions with his glove. There were questions with his glove when he had his sparring partners, and a couple of his sparring partners put it on social media, about him taking out padding and many other things. Both fights were very questionable, but guess what? This fight, there will be no more questions. This last fight, Fury, Wilder 3, there will be no more questions. Wilder's team will have a very close eye on Tyson Fury the entire night. There will be no more cameras that will be turned off while you're getting your glove wrapped. While you're getting your glove wrapped, which was suspect as well. The same trainer that was in the corner with Deontay Wilder that threw the towel in, which Deontay Wilder said that he gave strict orders, do not stop the fight under any circumstance. This fight, there will be no more questions. Whoever is the winner will be the winner. Will it be Tyson Fury? If it's Tyson Fury, Joshua told you, I'm fighting Tyson Fury either way, with or without the belts. He's hoping that Tyson Fury wins this and comes and fights the belt. Comes with that WBC belt to fight him. But let's not forget, Tyson Fury is also under investigation with UCOD. That's the UK's boxing division. He's under investigation with him because he popped dirty many years ago. And he never renewed his license because before he renews his license, he has to go see those guys. He has to go under. There has to be an investigation. An investigation never took place because he never renewed his license with the United Kingdom Boxing Commission. So we know the fight won't be in the United Kingdom. That's why Bob Arum and Eddie Hearn and Frank Warren, Tyson Fury guys, they were trying to set it up in Saudi Arabia or someone else, not in the UK. Joshua, he tried his debut with the United States, and it didn't turn out so good when he fought Andy Ruiz. The numbers wasn't good. They was giving away free tickets. He's not selling in the United States. They need to go somewhere where he's selling. They know he sells in the UK, but Tyson Fury can't fight in the UK. But that's a whole nother story. But like I said, this fight, there will be no more questions. If Fury wins, we know who Fury is fighting next. If Wilder wins and he becomes a WBC champion, which I personally believe he will Joshua have that same energy and say, I'm going to fight Wilder no matter what? No matter what. Let's see. Because clearly he didn't want to speak on that in 2 of his interviews. He didn't guarantee a fight with Deontay Wilder. But we'll see, guys. We'll see. So make sure you stay tuned. Wilder, Fury, October the 9th, WBC Championship. Joshua, Usyk, IBF, WBA, WBO, Heavyweight Championship, unified bouts of the world. It's going to be an amazing fight. Both fights are going to be amazing. Whoever wins, let's see who's next. If Joshua wins, let's see who Joshua will fight. If Usyk wins, let's see who Usyk will fight. If Wilder wins, let's see who he'll fight. If Fury wins, we know who Fury and Joshua are going to fight. But let's see, guys. Thank y'all for joining me. I really appreciate y'all. Once again, shout out to my guy, my partner, my co-host, Telly, Mr. Who Loves Your Baby. B, the rapper, I ain't gonna do you like that on here, B. But listen, to B, to Telly, thank y'all for joining us. Like I said, a real quick video. And we will catch y'all on the next one. Once again, this is the Final Round Boxing Podcast.